What makes the great great? Well, it's hard to say, but when we see a hero, we know it. Our show, Conversations with Community Heroes, will shine a light on the heroes in our community that inspire us to do more, be more, and live amazing lives. And I'm excited about our guest in the studio today because he is the lawyer for the everyday worker. And many of us are everyday workers. And if that's you, then you definitely want to stay tuned in. If possible, stop and take some notes because he's going to be sharing some valuable information with us. So I'm going to welcome Attorney Andre Ramsay to the show. So welcome.
Hello, Montina. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you asking me to be here today.
Yeah, well, we're highlighting our heroes in the community, and so we do consider you to be one of our heroes. So let's have a conversation. I don't like to do long, drawn-out bios, but I want to ask you, we know that you're an attorney, and we selected you. Why do you consider yourself the lawyer for the everyday worker? What's that mean?
Well, it seems simple, but it's right to the point. I represent people who have work all day, work hard for their families, try to provide for their children, and they unfortunately get hurt while they're working. So that's when I get involved. I try to help them get to a point where they can return to work at some point in time, where I can get them the benefits that they need on a daily basis or a weekly basis, rather, where I can get them the medical treatment that they need. Because unfortunately, when people get hurt, they're kind of left alone. And that's when I kind of jump in and help and do what I can with the insurance companies to get them where they need to be.
Good. So what made you decide on dealing with everyday workers compensation, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
I always say you don't choose workers' comp chooses you.
Okay.
And I think that's true. That's a very true mantra. I didn't go to law school thinking I would be a workers' comp attorney, but it's a situation where before law school, before I was a lawyer, I was an everyday worker, and I still am. I work more now probably than I did before. But I've worked in retail. I've worked in IT. I've worked in construction. I've done different things to where I've seen people actually get hurt, and I've seen what it's done to them. I've seen, unfortunately, what it does to their families because these people were friends of mine. So it was a call to action, really, for me to decide to do this kind of work because a lot of attorneys, unfortunately, in Atlanta and in Georgia don't want to do this work because it's not as profitable as, say, a personal injury case. But I didn't come at this from a perspective of what's more profitable for me. I came at it from a perspective as what's more profitable and beneficial for my client.
Oh, wow. So what did you do before you went to law school? Because, I encounter a lot of lawyers that went straight from undergrad into law school. So what did you do before law school?
Well, I did a lot of fathering.
Okay. All right. So how many children do you have?
I've got 3 sons.
Three boys.
Yeah, I've got
wonderful.
3 sons. So I did that. But employment-wise, I was a network administrator, network engineer for a company for about 5 years after I graduated Florida State University. Go Noles. Right. But after that, I got into the workforce and I enjoyed what I did. And I was making decent money doing it, but it wasn't my passion. And, so it gets back to what is your passion? And if you don't have a passion for what you do, specifically, you don't have a passion for workers' comp, you don't have a passion for the clients that you represent, you're not going to be an effective lawyer.
When you talk about passion, I actually posted something today on Instagram talking about passion. When you just really enjoy what you're doing, not that it doesn't feel like work, but you feel like doing it.
Right.
You get up every day and you're motivated to do it. So
True.
It sounds like your clients are blessed to have you. Now let's talk a little bit about fathering and your sons. Tell us a little bit about your family.
So I've got 3 sons. One is actually a freshman at the University of West Georgia.
Okay.
He is safety for their football team.
Awesome.
So he's doing well. He's got big things going on. Got a 9-year-old. He's in elementary school, rather, and he's learning his way through and just wants to be just like his brother.
Oh.
And I've got a 2-year-old as well. So I've got him pretty spaced out. But, it keeps me on my toes, for sure.
Yeah, especially the 2-year-old keeps you on your toes.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So let's talk about with law school, what was the most challenging thing that you think that you encountered, going to law school and being a student in law?
With law school, I would say it really breaks you down. You think you know things because of how well you may have done in undergrad. But when you go to law school, it's just a different way of thinking. It's a different vibe. It's just everything is different about it. You think you know how to write. until they tell you that you don't. So they really break you down and they build you back up into what they would hope is a respectable attorney, someone who understands the law. But the biggest thing I think you gather is you understand how much information that your clients really don't have versus what you do have. And it's very important that you educate your client as you go because they're looking for you to educate them most of all. Of course, they like the benefits that come along with it if we're able to resolve their case or if we're able to get them the medical treatment. But most of the times, they just want to be informed on what's going on. So, with law school, getting through it, I worked full time while I was going through law school. I wouldn't recommend that for anyone.
That's a lot.
But again, it comes back to the passion. If you have the passion to do what it is that you want to do, then you will find a way to get it done.
Wow. And he's not just an attorney. He's also an author. Workers' Compensation 101, the do's and don'ts. Right. Workers' Compensation. So what does that do for people? Like when they get your book, how does it educate them?
It educates them on things that happen sometimes very quickly in their case. They may not understand the severity of what they're doing or what they may be agreeing to before they may call an attorney. The insurance companies they know that. They know people are uninformed. So they know that, hey, I can tell them this and they'll believe it because they don't know otherwise. So it really helps them to understand what to do immediately when things happen, when they get hurt at work, before maybe they call an attorney, and even after they call an attorney. Again, it comes back to educating your client, educating the people that you're working with and for in order to get them to a better outcome.
So when I think workers' compensation, tell us about one of your current cases, because often I'll think is this where people are just seriously hurt, or just what happens if somebody's at work and, they injure their hand? What does that mean for people?
Sure. I represent a wide variety of different clients, whether it's from a finger injury to a catastrophic injury. I've got multiple clients that fall in between those horizons, I guess. One particular case I'm working on is a very hotly contested case, as I anticipated it to be, which is why I took it. This gentleman who was a firefighter for 15 years, and unfortunately he developed interstitial lung disease. And he had given his life and given his time to his job. He loved what he did. And unfortunately, he develops this. He was never a smoker, never had a history of this in his family. And now he's walking around with an oxygen tank. And he needs a lung transplant. So, it's a very tough case. That particular case is considered an occupational disease case as well as an occupational injury. It gets a little technical when we get into these terms, but because of that type of case, it's very, very hard to win. So a lot of attorneys may not take that case, but after meeting him once, I knew that I had to help him. I knew that I had to do it. So, we're still in litigation on that case. I don't anticipate that case settling anytime soon because the win-loss portion of that case is so severe. It's the insurance company just wants to go ahead and try the case, and that's okay. We'll try the case, and we'll get him the best result that I can. I'm giving him everything that I've got to try to get this thing through.
It sounds like you are. Now, what if someone is on a construction site, for instance, and they're an undocumented worker? How would that work for them with workers' compensation?
So a fallacy of workers' comp is if you don't have a Social Security number, or if you're not a documented worker, you cannot receive benefits. That is just simply untrue. If you are an employee and you're injured at work while you're at a construction site, and as long as that construction company has workers' comp insurance, then you're covered. You get the same things that everyone else gets. You get the medical treatment, you get the income benefits, and you get to be treated like a real person, no matter if you're undocumented or documented, in order to get you to where you need to be. Because a lot of people who are undocumented workers, they just want to go back to work. They've got families, and they need to get back to doing that. So that's what we try to do. We help them get back to where they need to be.
We're speaking today with Mr. Andre Ramsay from the Cochran Firm Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
And he's the lawyer for the everyday worker. And he's a father, 3 sons that he told us about, and just talking here about how he is our hero today with our conversation with our community hero. And so, Andre, we're talking about the different cases, and you said construction. Do you offer anything for truck drivers?
I offer anything for anyone who's been hurt. I represent quite a few truck drivers. And the thing about truck drivers that makes things different, it doesn't matter if it was your fault.
Oh, wow.
If you caused the accident while you're working, You may get dinged on your DOT transcript, but you are still covered under workers' comp. So they should definitely give me a call and I can walk them through the process.
Wow. So we have Andre Ramsay here, the lawyer for the everyday worker. Andre, what mark do you want to leave on the world?
I pray every day that I'm able to help at least one client before I go into the office. The mark I want to leave on this world is, 1, to be a hero to my children, and 2, to be someone who provides some kind of benefit to the people that need it the most.
Well, there you have it. And you can actually visit him at workerscompensationanswers.com, and you can get a copy of that book and also download it. And also, he has a number of YouTube videos online. I think over 40 or 50 when I looked. You have a lot of videos online.
I don't like myself that much, trust me. But
you're educating the people, which is
am.
really, really important. So we want to make sure, or workerscompensationanswers.com, you can also find out about him as well. So go ahead and visit him. And I'll also see you in the next segment. Please continue to listen in. And Andre, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.